Shri Guru Shiyata Bandeyam Shri Guru Shiyata Shri Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shivashikam Vitam Sya Om Ajnana Timarandasya Gyanajana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Gurva Bhishtam Supurakam Garaganara Sisha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samasta Vedanipanam Shri Rupa Patanugam Govinda Bidam Ujwalam Varatanum Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Bande Vishwagurun Cha Divyat Bhagawat Prem Noe Bija Pranam Devam Divyatanam Suchandavanam Balarka Chilanchitam Sandrananda Puram Sadeka Varanam Vairagya Vidyamburim Sri Siddhanta Nidim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Bandetam Shubharam Mareka Sharanam Yasishwara Shidaram Sri Siddhanta Saraswati Vidito Gaudiya Gauravanvai Bhato Bhanoriva Prabhata Gagane Yogara Sankirtanai Mayavada Timingilo Daragatan Udritya Jivaniman Krishna Prema Sudabdi Gahana Sukam Pradat Prabhum Tambaje Namo Gorakishoraya Bhakta Baduta Murtae Gorangri Padma Bringaya Radha Bhavani Shevine Bande Bhakti Vinodam Shri Gora Shakti Swarupakam Bhakti Shastragya Samrajam Radha Rasa Sudanidim Gora Vrajashrita Sheshar Vaishnavar Banja Vigraham Jagannatha Prabhum Bande Premabdim Brida Vaishnavam Vanshakopatarubyasya Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavenebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Nama Namo Mahabharanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gora Tavishe Nama. So we're hearing from Sri Chaitanya Bhagawat by Srila Vrindaban Das Thakur. This is the Adi-khanda, chapter 4, the name-giving ceremony, childhood pastimes, and the kidnapping. Okay. All glories to the lotus-eyed, moon-like Lord Chaitanya. All glories to all your loving devotees. O Lord, look upon me mercifully, so that my delusion may be dispelled, and that I may be able to serve and worship you day and night. The wonderful appearance of the Lord increased the happiness of everyone in Srimati Sachi Devi's house. Both Sri Jagannath Mishra and Srimati Sachi Devi's heart heaved joyous waves looking at the Lord's beautiful face. Sri Vishwarup would pick up his brother in his arms, smiling gleefully at the Supreme Lord, the abode of all transcendental joys. Friends and relatives lingered, affectionately surrounding the Lord at all times. Some chanted mantras of enchantment in the Lord's room for his protection. The Vishnu Raksha mantra, invoking Lord Vishnu's protection, and the Devi mantra, invoking Durga Devi's protection, were chanted while some people circumambulated the Lord's house. When the Lord would cry, shedding tears from his lotus eyes, only the sound of the holy name of Krishna would pacify him. Finally, everyone understood the secret message, and whenever the Lord cried, they immediately chanted Lord Hari's name. The demigods were in a jovial mood and decided to play some practical jokes on the people who always surrounded Nimai. A demigod in a subtle body stole quietly about the house, unseen by human eyes. When the people saw the shadowy figure glide past, they exclaimed, "There goes a thief!" Terror-stricken, some of them loudly chanted, "Nrsinga, Nrsinga," while others murmured the Aparajita Stotra, prayers to Parvati Devi, the wife of Lord Shiva, for protection. While many persons were going around the house chanting all different mantras and prayers, a great commotion was heard from inside Srimati Sachi Devi's house. The demigods had assembled to see the Lord, but the people outside thought that thieves were entering. Some shouted, "Catch the thief, thief!" while others continuously chanted, "Nrsinga, Nrsinga." A Brahmin priest endowed with powers of exorcising ghosts threatened the invisible demigods. "You're lucky you got away today, but you had better know the tremendous power of Lord Nrsingadev." Unseen by anyone, the demigods laughed to themselves. In this way, a month passed. Completing her 1 month of confinement, the period of contamination after childbirth, Srimati Sachi Devi went for a bath in the Ganga with the other ladies. Among singing and joyous clamor, Sachi Devi bathed in the Ganga. She worshipped Ganga Devi and thereafter a village goddess called Shashti. After worshipping different demigods in accordance with the proper rites, Sachi Devi returned with the satisfied ladies. According to the social custom, Sachi Devi respectfully offered all the ladies roasted paddy, that's rice, bananas, oil, vermilion powder, betel nuts, and betel leaf. The ladies in turn blessed the child and offer respects to Sachi Devi before they returned to their respective homes. In this way, the Supreme Lord Chaitanya performed his childhood pastimes. Without the Lord's mercy, these pastimes are incomprehensible. The Lord as a child cried frequently. However, his real intention in crying was to induce everyone to chant the Lord's holy name. The ladies would try one way or another to pacify him, but the Lord would cry all the more. Nevertheless, as soon as the ladies chanted, "Hari, Hari," a beaming smile would spread across the Lord's exquisite moon-like face. Thus, discovering that the chanting pleased and placated the Lord, everyone would gather in his room and always repeat Lord Hari's name while clapping their hands. Happily, therefore, everyone performed congregational chanting, and Sachi Devi's house constantly resounded with the Lord's transcendental name. Unknown to all, Lord Chaitanya's childhood pastimes in Sri Jagannath Mishra's house were a facsimile to Gopal Krishna's childhood pastimes. When no one was present in a room, he would intentionally scatter things around after pouring milk, butter, or oil on the floor. Forewarned that Mother Sachi Devi was approaching, he would quickly lie down and start crying. Sachi Mata would pacify him by repeating Lord Hari's name until she noticed the different substances spread all over the floor. "Who has scattered the rice, wheat, and dal? Why are these broken pots of curd and milk on the floor?" No one could understand who had done this. There was only the 4-month-old baby in the house. Curiosity drew everyone to that room, but they could not find any trace of the culprit. Some conjectured a demon or ghost must have come, but due to the effect of the mantras, it could not harm the baby. Angry that it could do nothing to the child, it threw everything around and escaped. This incident left Jagannath Mishra quite perplexed, but thinking it a providential interference, he did not comment. In spite of the extensive damage, both Sri Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi felt their sorrows soothed by just looking at the child's face. Days passed, wrapped in mystery, until the day of the name-giving ceremony arrived. Sri Nilambar Chakravarti and other learned scholars and friends assembled there. Respectable chaste ladies who looked as fresh and glowing as Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune, attended the ceremony in beautiful saris. Everyone discussed which name the child should have. Some ladies made one suggestion, while other ladies made another. This child will have no younger brother or sister. Therefore, Being the last child of the family, he should be named Nimai, said some ladies. After considering all points, the scholars said there was one name most appropriate for the child. As soon as he was born, famine ended in the land, and the farmers were blessed with long-awaited rains. Happy and healthy conditions returned to the land at his birth. It was similar to the ancient story of Lord Narayan protecting and upholding the universe during devastation. Hence, his name should be Sri Vishwambar, the sustainer of the world. This is confirmed in his horoscope, for he is the brightest torchbearer of his family. The name Nimai that the respected ladies have suggested will be his second name. The name was given at an auspicious moment, when all the planetary indications were right, and amidst readings of the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Vedas by the Brahmins. The demigods and humans assembled upon the occasion and offered benedictions. They chanted Lord Hari's all auspicious holy names, while blowing conch shells and ringing bells. Rice, paddy, books, roasted paddy, coins, gold, and silver were placed for the child to hold, thus testing the child's tendency. Sri Jagannath encouraged his son, "My dear Vishwambar, take whatever your heart desires." Sachi Devi's son, the Supreme Lord, ignored all items, picked up the Srimad Bhagavatam and embraced it tightly. The ladies loudly glorified the Lord. Everyone was very impressed and said, "Undoubtedly, he will be a great scholar." Some commented that the child would turn out to be an elevated Vaishnava devotee with the extraordinary capacity to easily grasp the deepest imports of the scriptures. Whoever saw Lord Vishwambar's enchanting smile became drenched in showers of bliss. Once the ladies had the child upon their laps, they would not put him down. This child, the Supreme Lord, who is unapproachable even by the greatest of demigods. Whenever the Lord would start crying, the ladies would clap their hands and chant Lord Hari's name. Hearing the chanting, the Lord would sway blissfully as though he were dancing on their laps. This further enchanted the ladies, who in turn increased their chanting. The Supreme Lord, by his desire, had everyone constantly chanting the Lord's name on any available pretext. The Vedas, Srimad Bhagavatam, and other scriptures conclude that no undertaking reaches success without the Supreme Lord's desire. Sachi Devi's son, the Supreme Lord, Sri Chaitanya, grew day by day, motivating everyone to chant his own holy name. When the Lord began to crawl upon his knees, he looked most charming. The small ankle bells on his feet were most pleasing to hear. The Lord fearlessly moved around everywhere, catching anything he saw, fire, snakes, anything. One day a snake slithered through the courtyard, and the Lord caught hold of him simply to enact another pastime. The Lord lay down on and amongst the coils of the snake. When the residents of house saw him, they screamed in alarm, but the Lord calmly smiled and remained upon the snake, looking very relaxed. The people shouted, "Garuda, Garuda," while Nimai's parents waited in anxiety. The snake, who was really Lord Anantases, started to slither away when he heard all the crying and commotion, but little Nimai tried to stop him. The ladies rushed over and gathered up Nimai into their arms, each one blessing him that he might have a long life. Some relatives tied a talisman upon Nimai for his protection, while some chanted benefic mantras, and others poured Ganga water on different parts of his body. Some of them thought that the child had received a new life, while others realized that the snake was actually Anantasesha. The Supreme Lord Chaitanya, who was radiant like the moon, tried repeatedly to go back to the snake, but everyone stopped him. These pastimes are not revealed even in the Vedas, and anyone who hears them is free from the bite of the serpent of material illusion. Lord Chaitanya, the pleasure of Sachi Devi, soon toddled about the house. Lord Chaitanya's extraordinary beauty eclipsed the beauty of millions of cupids. Even the radiant moon longed to behold the Lord's beauty. Curly locks decorated his exquisitely formed head, and with lotus eyes he looked like Gopal Krishna. His long arms stretched to his knees. He had an expansive chest and reddish-pink lips. All his limbs were beautifully formed. His brilliant sun-red complexion was always attractive, and his fingers, hands, and feet were like blooming lotuses. However, the Lord's reddish complexion on his palms and the soles of his feet sometimes caused Sachimata anxiety as the child ran about, and sometimes mistakenly thought that she could see red gaping wounds, heridas. Sachi Devi and Sri Jagannath Mishra were always struck with great wonder at the Lord's beauty. Although they were needy, their son was a source of unending joy for them. Together in seclusion, they whispered to each other, "I wonder what great personality has come as our son. An elevated and distinguished personality has taken birth in our house. Perhaps this will terminate all our material miseries. I have never heard of any other child with such wonderful behavior as ours. He smiles and enthusiastically dances without stopping when he hears the chanting of Lord Hari's name. When he cries, no amount of consoling will calm him, but when he hears loud chanting of Lord Hari's name, he immediately stops crying and listens. From early morning, the ladies would surround the Lord and loudly sing Lord Hari's name. They clapped their hands in rhythm, and the Lord would dance gleefully. The Lord would playfully roll in the dust, and then laughing, he would jump into his mother's lap. Sometimes the Lord would dance, moving his body in such a manner that no one could contain their laughter. However, no one could grasp how the Lord, through his escapades, was motivating everyone to chant the holy name. The Lord was so vivacious and restless, fleeting in and out of the house, that no one could catch him. Venturing out on his own, Nimai wanted to taste whatever he saw, roasted rice, banana, or sandesh. The Lord was so extremely attractive that strangers gave him whatever he requested. Strangers would give him sandesh and bananas, and pleased with his gifts, the Lord would dash home. He would then distribute the items to the ladies who used to sing Lord Hari's name for him. Everyone would merrily applaud the child's ingenuity and start further singing of Lord Hari's name. Unrestrained, the Lord wandered freely and in and out of the house, whether morning, noon, evening, or night. Daily he went to the houses of friendly neighbors and playfully stole from them. In some houses he drank all the milk, and in others he ate all the rice. Whenever he found nothing to eat, he was satisfied to break all the earthen pots. If he found a small child in any house, he would tease him to tears, and when he was observed, he would flee. However, if by chance someone caught him Nimoy would catch the person's feet and plead. Please let me go this one last time. I shall never come back again. I will never steal anything. Please be merciful. Astounded by the boy's sharp intelligence, no one could remain angry with him. Ultimately, everyone was affectionate toward him. Just seeing him naturally captivated people, and all the parents loved him more than they loved their own children. The Lord of Vaikuntha, Lord Chaitanya, passed his childhood in this manner, moving about and becoming mischievous. One day, two thieves saw the Lord roaming, about the streets alone, seeing his fine ornaments. They conspired to steal them. One of the thieves picked up Nimai, saying, oh dear, while the others joined him, saying, Where have you been for so long? Come quickly home, dear, the thieves said. The Lord smiled and repeated, yes, let us go home. Busily, the two thieves sped away with the Lord in their arms, while the onlookers in the street ignorantly thought that the rightful guardians had taken their own child. Teeming thousands of people were on the streets. Therefore, who could know everyone? Meanwhile, the thieves were happy to see the valuable ornaments upon the child. Overtaken by greed, the thieves were imagining their great riches, thinking they would now surely steal the golden bangles. They carried them upon their shoulders toward their hideout, while the Lord rode along, chuckling to himself. One thief passed a sandesh into the Lord's hand, while the other said comfortingly, we have almost reached home. The thieves had kidnapped the Lord and run away when the Lord's relatives realized Nimai was missing and began to search for him. Vishvambar, come home, Nimai, where are you? They shouted. Everyone grew frantic and restless, like fish out of water. In distress, they remembered Lord Govinda, while far away the thieves carried Nimai toward their hideout. Deluded by the Supreme Lord's illusory potency, Maya, the thieves mistook their way to their den and arrived instead at the residence of Sri Jagannath Mishra. The bewildered thieves thought they were in their own house, so they busied themselves in trying to remove the Lord's ornaments. Get down now, we are home, said the thieves, and the Lord replied, yes, put me down. Inside Sri Jagannath Mishra's house, everyone was sitting around with their heads in their hands in utter despair. The beguiled thieves took the Lord down from their shoulders, thinking the house to be their own. As soon as Nimai was on the ground, he ran straight into his father. A joyous uproar shook the house as the relatives loudly chanted, Hari, Hari. An understandable transformation overwhelmed the people as if life had returned to their bodies. The thieves realized that the house was not their own, but they could not recognize where they were. Taking advantage of the commotion, the fearful thieves stealthily left the place without being noticed by anyone. Reflecting on this strange and wonderful incident, the thieves thought, who is playing tricks with us? Chandi Devi, Goddess Durga, certainly saved us today, they said, after regaining their composure. They then embraced each other. The thieves actually gained immeasurable piety and good fortune because they carried the Supreme Personality of Godhead upon their shoulders. In Sri Jagannath Mishra's house, the happy thieves asked, in Sri Jagannath Mishra's house, the happy relatives asked, who brought the child back? We should offer him nice gifts and tie a silk turban upon his head. Another said, I saw two persons come with the child, put him down and leave, but I don't know in which direction they left. Everyone was surprised that whoever had brought the child back did not stay to be acknowledged. They turned to Nimai and asked, "Our dear child, tell us who brought you back. We are puzzled." The Lord replied, "I went to the bank of the Ganga, but I lost my way home and was roaming about in the town. 2 persons took me in their arms and brought me home." Hearing this story, everyone said, "The words of the scriptures are never wrong. The unseen hand of Krishna always protects children, old persons, and the helpless." Being bewildered by the Lord's illusory energy, Maya, the relatives thus conjectured in many different ways. The Supreme Lord performed his wonderful pastimes in this manner. No one can understand them without the Lord's direct mercy. Whosoever hears these narrations, which are a mystery even in the Vedas, can easily get undeviating devotion at Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet. I, Vrindaban Das, offer my humble song at the lotus feet of Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Sri Nityananda Prabhu, who are my life and soul. So that's the story of the name-giving ceremony, childhood pastimes, and the kidnapping. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama. Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama. Gopa Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Giridhari Gopinatha Mananaman. Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra. Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhakta Raguna. Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Rasa Raguna. H.I. Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan. Jaite Vignana Shabishta Puran. H.I. Gosai Jarmui Taradas. Kasavar Padareno Mora Panchagras. Kader Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas. Janame Janame More Abdilas. H.I. Gosai Jabe Braje Koilabas. Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Kori La Prakash. Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majai Aman. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas. Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamunas. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas. Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamunas. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Haribo. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Haribo. Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Garanga Gandharvika Giridhari Ju Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajaka Charyashta Tata Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Nirmahacharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajaka Charyashta Tata Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajaka Charyashta Tata Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Rakakshidhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Sananta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Rupanuga Guru Bharga Ki Jai. Namachar Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhadra Das Raghunath Sadgo Swami Prabhu Ki Jai. Prem Se Gaur Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Srila Vrindaban Das Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Bhagawat Ki Jai. Narottam Srinivas Shamananda Prabhu ki jai. Vishvabaranya Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Shri Navadip Dham ki jai. Shri Ram Mayapur ki jai. Saparshada Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai. Saparshada Shriman Mahaprabhu ki jai. Shri Kuladvip ki jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat ki jai. Soquel Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Seva Ashram ki jai. Ganga Devi ki jai. Tulasi Maharani ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shri Vrindaban Dham ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopi Govardhan Shyam Kana Radha Kunda Kalindi Munaju ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. All the assembled devotees ki jai. Srila Bhakti Kusham Ashram Maharaj ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.